Are we recording?
Yeah.
Fucking perfect. I think it's 34.
Checks out.
The thing says 36.
Look, man, I just started typing numbers.
Fair.
Don't hold me to it. We can release things whenever we feel like. So
we should just be like,
David,
welcome
not
to
Dave.
episode, and then like insert later, whichever episode it ends up being.
Just do whatever we want. We could do anything we
That's
want, boys.
far too much post-production, Ron.
Yeah.
If you recorded one other episode before this would be 34, at least looking at your Spotify right now.
Okay. We do have another one in the hopper.
Nice.
Not the
32
hopper.
was the last one released. So.
Okay. Yeah,
All right.
there's one on the waiting. Yeah.
Look at that.
Well, this
Research
could
day.
be 34, or we just put other ones in. It doesn't. David, you're in charge of this podcast, dude. So,
All right.
by the way, yeah, we have a guest. David, you want to?
Another David.
The
I know.
MVP from the Decline episode.
Oh,
Yes. If you're gonna say smart stuff on an episode where we've invited everybody, you get invited back.
It felt more smart ass than smart, but I appreciate that.
Oh, look, man, a lot of truth.
It's a
It
fine
was something
line.
like
It's a fine line.
I'm gonna see if I get it right, and David, you could tell me if I don't. But it was something like, "Hey, sometimes work just fucking sucks."
Absolutely, it does.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's how you earn a spot on this podcast.
Sweet, I love it.
Yeah, nailed it.
Yeah.
It took us 30 some episodes, and we still haven't said anything that relevant. So now you got it. So you're up first, man. You want to introduce yourself? Tell us who's behind you.
I'm other.
And then if you have any new tattoos, that's the other important.
Yeah.
I'm substitute David. I don't know what I am. Yeah, so I've got Bread and Water behind me, old crust punk band from Dallas, Texas. Really
Nice.
awesome band. Played my living room a couple times back in the early 2000s, so that was cool. But,
Oh, that's rad.
yeah.
Very
Yeah.
nice. No new tattoos.
No new tattoos. I haven't had a new tattoo in 5-6 years. I really need to get some new tattoos.
Yeah.
Well, if you
Get a
play
neck
your
tattoo.
cards right.
We're waiting for someone to get a neck tattoo. That'll get you invited back again.
I heard you were giving away free throat tattoos, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was. That's what I said. You play your cards right. You go to the right conference. It's paid for. This is funded by. Well, it's not funded by the merch because
Yeah.
that's a net loss.
It's Magpie
It would
advertising.
be.
You just have to get a little bit Magpie logo on there as well.
Exactly. We've got the. It's already ready. Got the flash
Fuck
ready to
you,
go.
IRS.
Don't say that too loud.
Does anybody work there anymore?
IRS. Fuck, they sent me a letter, so somebody does.
Was it an infringement of copyright letter or a different kind of letter?
No, it's all about skateboards.
Oh, yeah.
It's come to our attention. You bought a fuck ton of skateboards. for
What are
company.
you doing with all
business
those fucking
purposes.
skateboards, bro?
New skating division.
Excellent. Dave. Other Dave. No.
Dave.
Normal.
Yes.
Well, it's Dave
You have
and
to
David.
specify.
OG.
Proven.
Not a lot. Bit of travel in the next few weeks, but nothing super exciting except the Thunder going to the
Bullshit.
finals. Against Indiana. So that should be a bit of fun over the next week or so. From when we recorded, hopefully by the time it comes out, we're all wearing new rings. And
Like all of us, or who are you talking about?
well, not you,
Yeah.
not since like 2017 or something.
Are you gonna give me a ring?
Yep.
Put a ring on it, buddy. I love that we're gonna make this official.
Well,
Love
we've
that for us.
always got Casablanca. We've got a lock on the wall together.
We do actually. That's awesome.
Story for a different day.
I got a picture there somewhere.
I saw this week that Blink's Enema of the State album in '99 was like 27 years old. And I kind of figured that's when it all went downhill for Blink, and they went from being kind of like a bit of a punk band with their early stuff like Dude Ranch and Unknown Road in about time, and it was still kind of pretty punk, but then it all just went kind of mainstream and fucked up. So, I thought, yeah, good reminder not to let things get too fucked up. As we go into as we get to so many episodes in the podcast, Ben, you'll get all these approaches for sponsorship and all these new commercial opportunities.
Will we?
Don't sell out, okay? Just don't sell out.
Nailed it. I don't think that's a problem for us. Ron,
What's up?
what's happening?
I got comeback kid behind me.
Your
Looks
high
like
school
me
nickname?
back.
Like what about?
Is that your high school nickname?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You and Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, jeez.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm not.
Hey, Kim, don't sue us.
Good movie.
I have no new tattoos. I'm not doing any interesting traveling, and I have no sports teams in the NBA finals.
No, you got nothing to do.
I've got nothing. I got nothing
Same.
for you.
Same.
All you've got is ASPP conference in your backyard next year. That's about all going for you right now.
Yes, sir. That'll be next year. We're gonna live stream that shit.
Yeah, should.
Ben, what are you doing?
I got Dead Pioneers behind me. That's a Denver band. Those guys are pretty fucking cool. It's sort of punk. There's a little bit of the kind of talking Bad Religion style. They're pretty political. One of the dudes, I think, one or two of the guys is Native American, so they have some things to say about my spirit animal, 8-year spirit animal, and things like that. But they're cool. They put on a good show. Maybe when you're in Denver again, boys, we'll go see these guys. No new tattoos. I fucked up the scheduling. I wrote a note to my artist and forgot to hit send.
Oops.
Yep.
Wasn't that the excuse last podcast too?
Hit 3 in a row, Dave.
Oh yeah. That when you say last one, that would have been 32.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't think it was. I don't think I had fucked it up yet. I think.
Yeah, it's like there was travel, and then it was cold out, and then it was
Yeah, and I got scared.
Yeah,
sand in the taint. Yeah, all of it. It's escalated though. It went from 1 to now it'll be 2 that sort of match. So it's getting worse. Nice. It's all right. And we're gonna knock out a punk rock safety one. I'll be the first one to get it, and then you silly fuckers probably still won't. Yeah. David's going to. He's
working out.
Looks like he's gonna get one.
So, and just up the road from you, Ben, people setting people on fire, hey?
Fucking hell.
Wow.
Yeah.
Apparently. Yeah. By the time this comes out, I don't know when it's coming out, but there was some sort of a homemade flamethrower attack up in Boulder. Not the best.
All right. What are we going to talk about?
They don't do that in Australia, do they?
Well,
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Not lately. It's good. Good.
Cool. So what?
All right, David. We usually go like 7 minutes is what people claim of just complete bullshit, and then I guess it eases into normal bullshit from there. But what do you want to talk about, man?
That happened? We hit 7 minutes already?
It feels like probably 20.
It's like ages. Yeah. What do you want to talk about, man?
Man, I don't know.
Oh, shit.
That's a lot of responsibility for a guest, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're not really good at what
There's no
we do.
free lunches.
You know what? Sometimes work just fucking sucks, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
You're absolutely right. Work fucking sucks. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking about all the topics you guys have covered already, and I don't want to recycle anything. So
oh, I wouldn't worry about it. No one remembers the other ones. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean,
remind us again, what do you spend your time doing?
I'm a man, without getting myself fired here. So I am
don't worry, we'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm an area HSC director for a regional construction contractor. So
do you know Ron? He's in construction.
He's in construction. He doesn't have any projects though, but he's in construction.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm more under construction. I'm just working on myself right now.
Good.
Um, okay.
Or are
Cool.
you doing it safely? Are you doing that construction safely, bro?
No, it's a shit show, man.
Always.
That's a
Zero
whole other
incidents.
podcast.
All right, cool.
Is
Yeah.
it commercial or residential or
Industrial.
okay?
So yeah,
Okay.
we've got a range of clients. So some big, some not so big, but yeah, everything.
Trying super hard not to implicate himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't get cleared by marketing to come on here, you know. So
Big enough to have a
Neither
marketing
did I.
department.
Neither did Ron.
yeah, but I mean, it's weird because my background in safety comes from I did 20 years. I think I said this at the last podcast that I was on, but I did 20 years of touring roadie, so I come out of that background. And then COVID hit, and I had to find a new gig. So I was doing a lot of safety, field level safety leadership stuff back on the road, and got into safety full time in construction when I could no longer work at events. So,
Cool.
Okay, so when you were being a roadie, you were doing safety
well,
as
so
well.
I had to do frontline safety, right? I was in charge of crews, anywhere from 4 to
Got
5
it.
guys. So, and then eventually I worked my way up in the last company I worked for to an operational director role. And no one does safety apparently for touring companies. So I had to kind of take that on. So, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the Wild West of safety, live events are the Wild West of
Yeah.
safety. I know you go to concerts all the time, but how much time have you spent talking to events workers?
I haven't that much at all.
Occasionally, those guys that catch you if you get chucked over the barricade up
Yeah,
front.
they always look happy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if I'm coming.
Yeah.
Like, this fucking guy, man.
I mean, that's the crowd safety part, though, but the occupational safety too is rough, man. It's a rough time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Particularly when Fat Mike's your safety officer.
What's okay? What do you say it's rough? Like, what do you mean? Like, just like no, like everybody just does whatever the fuck they want. It's a pain in the ass. What is it?
I mean, you're dealing with an industry that it's not unregulated, obviously, right? Obviously, it's regulated like every other industry, but traditionally, I feel like safety has focused more on the crowd aspect, right? Especially because high profile incidents at events have to do with stuff like Astroworld, right? You have mass compression injuries and crowd crushes and things like that. That's what gets the headlines. But one of the last years I worked at a very popular music festival, right? Our head rigger died. He fell off of the rigging.
Shit.
This is the guy in charge of rigging safety, and he fell. So it's kind of a Wild West scenario where there's not a lot of scrutiny the way that you'd imagine probably a lot of the industries you guys work in. And I hate to say that compliance should drive safety because obviously it shouldn't, but if no one's paying attention to it, it's a problem.
Yeah. But it strikes me that it's what popped in my head when you were saying that is some industries, aviation is the first one that pops in my head about the difference between the above the wing and below the wing safety. Where above the wing is like the passenger safety, and that has like a, renowned safety record. Obviously not perfect, with some of the stuff that's been in the news recently, but by and large, a lot of attention, a lot of focus, a lot of effort. And then, sorry, I think there's someone like working on my fucking house because like I just heard a drill behind me.
It's fine.
Uh,
It's me.
okay. And
Just
then
outside your house with a drill run. You're welcome.
that's my fucking nightmare. But the below the wing safety, right, is like notoriously bad. Like the mechanics and the luggage handlers and shit like
Fucking
that.
hell, the mechanics union is coming after you now, man.
It's not their fault. I think my theory about it, and I'd be interested in your guys' thoughts. And I think it relates to what you're talking about, Dave. Is it's a focus of attention problem, right? Like the passenger safety in aviation is existential. Like if people die in aircraft, the industry goes away. It's probably same thing in events. If like you go to a concert and like it's 50-50 you're going to die, people are going to stop going to shows.
Well,
So
50% of people will.
This is true. This is true.
That's the quick math.
Yeah, there's a math guy there. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, is that true? Not true?
Well, for those of you who've worked in the medical field, is that the same case with patient safety versus worker
Yeah.
safety there?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And
I think
your
it's
point-
most industries, even Ron, even on the flight operations side of aviation, you know, it's all directed at away from the worker, right? Like there are things that even if you're in the pointy end of the airplane that matter, but that's not really ever the focus. And you're probably not going to fall off like you would rigging something at a show, but it is all based on, like you said, that existential threat to the industry. What's the big shit that someone going to notice?
Yeah. And so I wonder if it's like, is compliance the solution there, or is visibility like, or like, shining a light on it the solution? You know what I mean? And or maybe something else. Discuss.
It's hard to
Huh.
make people care just because you've shined a light on
I-
something they don't understand.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. Like I think and even doing some work with some of the studios like Netflix and Amazon in the film creation type industry that has
Look at him. Look at him.
some
Just
similar
fucking
stuff.
name dropping.
Yeah. Some similar stuff. I think there's definitely just an industry kind of understanding around work. But I was also thinking more about the context of work. Like I think it's really important to think about what that context looks like. Like you cruise into town on trucks, you grab a bit of local labor, you've got 2 days to set up a stand. You're not on OSHA's radar. No one's turning up on site looking at what you do. There's no management. Like the promotion company is probably 3 people sitting in a fucking office in LA somewhere who just selling fucking tickets and renting a location, ordering toilets or whatever the fuck they're doing. And you just got a group
Not
of
enough.
you just got a group of 10, 15, 20, I don't know how many it takes to put together blokes on side a whole bunch of machines and just put it together, right? It'd be the same as, I don't know, inviting people over to erect a shed in your backyard, right? It's just dudes just doing work, right? So I think visibility, compliance, yeah, I actually don't know the solution, right? But I can sort of think through the context of why it happens the way it does.
But like, Ben, you said like they don't know what to do, but like can you make that argument in aviation?
What do you mean they don't?
Well, because what you said something right beforehand, like, do they even know what to look for?
No, I said shining a light on something doesn't make people care about it. So, shining a light on the fact that folks under a wing or up on a scaffold, or I don't know, man, any one of a million jobs that people just sort of assume folks know what they're doing on. Like, you don't have to shine a light on not dying in a hospital. People sort of intuitively care. They don't want the door to fall off their airplane. You don't have to shine a light on that. That shit's on the news. But when a guy dies at a concert, it's probably not on the news, and it probably doesn't even come up that, I mean, it's probably no one that's going to that show that even knows. And if you did tell them, it's like Dave's example of somebody coming to build a shed, and you're like, I don't know, they're shed people. Man,
Yeah.
they know how to build sheds and stuff.
I think we got to be careful saying I think we got to be careful
Shed
saying
people.
they don't know. And I'm thinking about other industries.
Well, I didn't say they don't know.
You said like about
Yeah.
they don't know.
I said shining a light on something doesn't make people care about it.
No.
I don't think you said that.
100%. Let's roll the fucking tape. Well,
But Dave,
If we did any editing at all, we'd roll it back and show that that's what I
no,
said.
well,
I'm never listening
when
to
you
this
do the
podcast, so
LinkedIn,
I will never know.
you can tell the world if you were right or
David's
wrong.
not either. He's like, I don't know why I got invited on this thing,
But
man.
David, I'm thinking like the industry, and I don't know how it works in the States, but industries like farming and agriculture, industries like it's interesting that Ron asked you, were you in residential or commercial construction?
No, that
And
was
like,
me too, because
oh, was
nobody
that you?
I
fucking
did
gets
not
my
judge.
quotes right.
Oh,
Whatever.
usually okay, sorry, just it's a pattern. Um,
No, fucking go on, go on
um,
without me. It's cool.
But it's not that these people don't know how to do their fucking job, right? They know how to do the work. What we're questioning
Yeah.
is our view of the safety standards that are applied to that work are maybe different from the safety standards that get applied. And so,
Yeah.
it's not about asking these people like you don't know how to do your job, like they fucking know. And you ask a farmer, they fucking know. But what we're questioning is, are they maybe it's knowledge of what we'd consider to be adequate measures of risk control for certain types of risks as the difference here. And maybe shining light on it doesn't matter. Maybe it's, I don't know what it is. Dave might have you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. My head just keeps going to this dichotomy that exists, I think, in every workplace, right? That the end user, the consumer, the customer, their safety is always paramount compared to the worker behind it, right? So whether that's agriculture or food safety or a concert or an airline, and I'm not trying to avoid your question, other David, but I just that's where my mind is right now. Is that interesting idea that I think we tend to be concerned more as people about being hurt when we're not at work, honestly, right? We want our experiences, our recreation, our food, even if we have a higher risk tolerance outside of work too. That's like a weird paradox and justification, right? I mean, we'll go bungee jumping, we'll go paragliding, we'll do all this other stuff because we have a higher risk tolerance typically when we're not in the workplace. But then we also expect it to be a perfectly safe experience every single time in a weird way, right? So it doesn't really answer your question, but that's what's on my mind right now.
Well, so interestingly, I started work in the rail industry, and the rail industry has different risk tolerability criteria for different impacted people. And it's like order of magnitude. And what they sort of say is like, we'll accept like a serious injury to 1 in 10,000 workers, because if you decide to work for our company, you're choosing to work in this industry and there's high risk, and you've basically contributed to being exposed to that risk. And then passengers who actually choose to travel on the rail will accept like a 1 in 100,000 because you've chosen to ride the train and you've taken on board some of the risks associated with that. But if you're a member of the public and you're just like crossing a railway track or a level crossing in a vehicle, you're not trying to catch the train, you're not trying to work in a rail organization, you're not choosing to take on any risk for yourself. It's like a 1 in a million. I remember a tolerability criteria when I started in the rail industry that said, this is our safety tolerance for employees, this is for passengers, and this is for members of the public. And it was kind of different based on whether you chose to be involved with the railway or not. So I don't know. It's kind of funny, Dave, how you mentioned that workers and maybe customers we have a different tolerability for hurting. We pay you, so it's okay to hurt you. You pay us, so it's not okay to hurt you.
I've never seen it that explicit, but like that's a common psychological thing. We have almost like risk buckets we put shit into, where like you said, other David, about work versus at home, right? And the level of risk that we're willing to tolerate. And I would imagine I'd be interested to know if this is true. I suspect it is, that like in those industries where you have that sort of Venn diagram of like this is more of an entertainment or a kind of a fun activity, like going to shows and stuff like that and setting up shows. You almost have this like, we could accept a little bit more because it's just a rock show, kind of feel to it, and that sort of risk tolerance. Even though we in safety, I think, try to think about it in like well, one life's worth the same no matter what, where, when, how, it doesn't matter, right? but I don't think at a human level that's necessarily true for everybody. It might be true for some people, but like it's pretty rare in my experience. Even safety people, you see them in different contexts taking risks that they wouldn't accept in other areas or in other contexts, which is kind of interesting. I don't know what to do with that, but I think it's interesting nonetheless.
All I heard was that, Ron, you're okay getting hit in the head by a flying can of cut water at a
By a
concert, but
can of
if you're walking down the street and someone just throws a can at your head, you're gonna, have a less tolerance for that.
100%. Actually, that is a good point. Like if I'm
That's actually a pretty good point.
if I'm walking down the street, like if I went to the grocery store like today, if I'm at the grocery store and a fucking can hits me in the head, I'm gonna be pissed off. But like if you're at a punk show, like that's assumption of risk right there. Like if you don't get an injury, did you even go?
Yeah, I mean that's sort of a feature.
Yeah.
We've just got a name for the episode, 13 Stitches.
Excellent.
But like how
every
you
once in a while Proven really comes through.
I know
It's the morning, right? It's Tuesday. I've got a whole extra day of learning on top of you guys.
Yeah. So. We're still moving a little slow here.
Yeah,
something else you said to other David was about like the customer and like in your industry in particular, me being in a somewhat similar industry, I'm not really in industrial construction right now, but it's
I mean, Ron is. Don't sell yourself short, man. He's like 100% deep in construction.
No, we do a different kind of construction, is what I'm saying.
Listen, Proven and I are convinced you're basically a foreman.
Yes. No, I'm not. I'm a carpenter.
Just on the tools.
I'm a journeyman. No, no. But no, like customers king, right? And in my experience, and I'd be curious if this resonates with your experience, like a lot of times more and more our customers will have safety expectations that we have to follow. And that sucks up a lot of oxygen in terms of like effort and attention. And like I got to spend a lot of time making sure that what I do is oriented to what they expect us to do, regardless of whether that is actually appropriate for the risks that we're facing at the front line. Like, so there's so much time and attention that we spend on that. It takes up resources from that frontline, sharp end type safety. Is that kind of similar for you or is it different?
I think it's very similar, but one of my experiences has been, there's a big difference in industrial construction when you're working on, I don't even want to get too into examples. I know what you used to do. But when you're working in a facility that's not live yet versus a live facility too, right? Because then you're worried about safety, right? And the client's safety and everything that they're requiring from you. And that takes, I was going through a meeting today and we were determining, our safety folks spend almost half their time just fulfilling client safety requirements, documentation, scanning, all the crap they want us to produce. That's just safety clutter, right? It's nonsense. It's crap that's not keeping anyone safe in the field. But then on the other hand, when you're in a live facility, you also have to worry about impacting their production, which is a big problem too. And in fact, you start to get to a point where you're actually taking on more and more risk, not just from a financial viewpoint, but from physical life safety to prevent the impact to their business operations just from the work we're doing, right? And so there's this weird juxtaposition where you're expected to fulfill all these safety requirements for the client, but then in the end, they kind of just brush that aside and it's like, well, it's good on paper, but if it impacts my production, then I don't care. I just want you to make sure all of your paperwork is in and then we're good to go,
Yeah.
So,
and then what happens if something does go wrong? In that relationship that has developed all that paperwork? I mean, that's a genuine question.
Well, I don't think the client cares unless something does actually go wrong.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of why I ask, right? What does that look like?
It's kind of like at the field trip where there was the big signs on the big boards that said, no moshing, please. And then you look at work as done and you're kind of going that no one cares unless there's actually an incident.
And there was, but mostly during the Dropkick Murphys set.
Yeah.
Fuck, another one's hurt.
And Ron's incident during the descent.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the same way that if at a concert, right, someone gets an eye poked out, it's not the same crisis as if the power goes out and the band can't go on, right? You know, like
Mm.
Or the
what?
co-defendant's amp doesn't work or header doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Yeah.
again, the if you look at that music festival I was talking about earlier where the head rigger died, the success story there was that the show wasn't delayed. You know, so there was no impact to that production. There was just a loss of life, you know, but the show went on and it opened up and everyone was quite proud they were able to pull it off that way. And
Wow.
Wow.
you know, you look in the facilities, right? The industrial setting that I was talking about. We've had similar situations where we'll have an employee pretty seriously injured or on the verge of serious injury, and it's like, well, at least my factory didn't shut down. You know, like did we trip a breaker or did someone mess up the chemical line? Oh no, we're good. Okay, we can keep producing. Let's worry about that worker as a secondary issue. You know, so we tend to get a lot more heat as contractors if we're impacting production versus getting someone hurt. I mean, there's always the we don't want OSHA breathing down our necks, so we got to reduce recordables. There's all the creative ways that contractors and clients, you know, manage, you know, injuries to prevent recordables on paper, right? But again, it's all about what's impacting the client and their bottom line and how that works, you
And
know.
I mean, Ben's wearing the "Fuck Safety, Make Money" t-shirt. I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
am.
There you go.
yeah.
There you go.
That's unironically the reality, right?
Yeah. Well, what's going through my head right now is that that paper from Yop and Drew, and I can't remember who else was on it, about stop work. And basically,
There was
uh,
one before. That was a follow-on paper. There was actually one before that. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
I think I know which one you're
Ed,
talking about, but that's not.
with
Yeah.
Dave on it. Yeah.
So the one I'm talking about was about based on his ethnographic work, where he found that people were stopping work a lot more than we think they are, and the thing that always stuck in my head was um, when they don't stop work, and why that's really interesting because it's so different than normal, and they don't stop work when they don't feel like they have resources necessary to do work that needs to be done. And I can see that in the construction situation, like, hey, we got to keep the plant running, and so and there's no other way to do it, and I can't call for help. Yeah, we could stop the job, but we're all gonna look around and shrug our shoulders and be like, okay, well, we got to do it, you know. So why waste my fucking time? Let's just do it. And I would venture to guess it's extremely similar in an event environment, you know. And even going back to what you said, David Proven, Proven Dave. Um, I'm trying to differentiate between you two, and it's not always very easy. But about like, you know, you this isn't a situation where like these people are well resourced and people are spending a lot of time like, hey, let's make sure. I mean, they're all really good and skilled at their job, but like it's probably mostly just them, you know, like here, let's bring in, you know, local talent. Let's make sure that we have, you know, toilets and that's
Local
it. Like,
local talent at a concert.
yeah, right. Like, can you do the job? This, you know, what was the job interview like? What was the pre-job training? You know what I mean? Like, and so at some point, like, I imagine there's probably, like you said, other Dave, you know, not probably, there is a sense of pride. And I see that also in plants all the time, a sense of pride about, hey, it was a shit job, but we were able to get it done, you know? And
Yep.
like that shit job part of that sentence is carrying a lot of risk in it that often doesn't get talked about or understood, you know? And we just were like, man, that was amazing the work we did. That's kind of fucked up.
Or not amazing. We just fucking did it, right? I mean, I think it just gets to that point of it, you know, there's no self-congratulation. We're just doing the fucking work. And I think some of it gets down to that, and it's harder to pay attention to, like, to call it out, to say, look, this is something unique we have to look at, because we just fucking do it every day.
Yeah.
And I think about this whole idea of compliance a lot. Not only because I just love doing audits, as Dave likes to tell me, other OG Dave. But just, look, man, you're on the tools, you're doing the work, you're trying to get shit done, and it's like, dude, just tell me what you want me to do. Just tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it. But I don't need to talk about it. I just want to know, this came up on the LinkedIn, is, my favorite place to be. Dr. Noblong, you guys have heard of him. Oh, Nob Schlong. I'm sorry, I mispronounced the last name. Our number one fan, Nob Schlong, was saying about deontological Kantian ethics. And I just thought, fuck, man, if I,
I saw your
yeah, like I'll tell you what, frontline shit right there. Deontological ethics all day. Like this shit is not useful. And so I think there is a place for compliance as that bridge of just saying, look, man, tell me what you want me to do. Somebody's thought this through. Let's make sure it makes sense. We'll fucking do it. And then if we're okay there and we can have conversations about when compliance reaches its end of usefulness, now let's have a conversation about, ooh, okay. Like, how do we do this last time? Was there some super secret thing to get it done, even though stuff was shitty? I don't know, man. Okay, I'll see myself out.
Yeah.
No.
Deontological.
Yeah.
I think,
So
like
Dave's like, what? Well, I kind of like deontological.
I don't even fucking know what it means. I can't even spell it.
I don't
Ethics? What's this word you mentioned?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think it's what's the work, right? And so I assume that you're managing a team of roadies. It's set up the fucking stage. Like that's the fucking work, right? Like, and so if work's not set up to be executed safely, then you can't blame the fucking people doing it who are just trying to do the job. And the first that stop work research you mentioned there, Ron, the first part of that was actually research with teams of meter readers. Like, that you get people that, I don't know, the gas guy who goes to your house and checks your meters and knows what to put on your bill. And so they get bitten by dogs all the fucking time. So your house, Ron, other Dave's house, Ben's house, meter is getting fucking assaulted by dogs all the time, right? I'm sure.
Not at my house.
The snoring's loud. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ben's dog doesn't like me very much.
No, I know what you mean. Actually, I've done work with those people before. It's fucking brutal.
Yeah. So then it's like, well, we told you not to go and read the meters in houses that have dogs. Just skip it. Go to the next house. We'll just estimate their meter, and it's no fucking problem, right? And then why don't they do it? And all these things. So when they don't do it, they've got to ring the fucking call center and say we skipped this house. And the call center, who's now got to ring the customer, is going, really? Why didn't you just fucking do it? Like, now I've got to call the customer. You've created work for me. And that meter reader knows that in the next day or two, they're going to have to go completely out of their fucking way, all the way back to that fucking house if the customer requests a special meter reading, and go and do it, and then come back on their normal day and probably work a couple of hours overtime away from their family and kids. And all these, like, fuck all this. Like, it's just a dog. I'll just do it, because it just fucking sucks if I, skip this and cause problems for other people. So I think the whole point, like, that if there's a point here anywhere, it's like, if the work's not set up to be at the level of safety we want it to be, don't blame the fucking people doing it. That's mic drop, and I've got shit to do.
I mean, you're right. I think that the idea is, no matter what industry you're in, the show has to go on, right? You don't just stop everything you're doing because someone got hurt or.
No, wait a minute. It's on your badge card, on your lanyard. It says just stop work, dude.
Oh yeah,
right. You're right. That's the problem, though. I mean, how many of us, would have jobs if we just always stopped work every time that, there was a risk that we didn't know how to mitigate?
Well,
right? And
the safety guy.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. I think that in any industry, the job has to get done. You got to get it done. And I mean, what was the alternative when the rigger died? We shut down the festival and everyone loses millions of dollars, and then that festival doesn't exist the next year and we all lost our jobs. I mean, that's what we're looking at, right? And I think that's the contradiction, and that's why it gets really hard. I mean, you guys were talking some of the early episodes about what is it like when or does it mean that your enterprise is a failure if someone dies, right? Or does that mean your safety program or safety culture, I use that word, is horrible if someone dies? And in the end, right? I mean, people, shit happens, right? But I guess the question is, how do we make sure we protect as many people as possible the best way we can? You're right. Setting up work to be safe is the way to do that. Right?
And then I think with that, maybe I was oversimplifying it a little bit, because just thinking as you're talking there, Dave, then you go, well, if we're going to do it safe and we're going to bring in all these elevated work platforms and a crane or a better crane and something like that, tickets are going to be $150 instead of $90. And, then it's like, then, you're copping shit from all the fans, like fucking concerts should be fucking $50. And so it's a tightrope, right? Because it's like, yeah, we can set up any work to be safe with enough time and enough money and enough competent resources. But what does that do for the price of the product or the service that we're in the market for, right? And, there'll always be some other concert promoter that's going to come along and go, oh, we don't fucking need to do that safety stuff. We can get it done. And so, these companies sort of have this race to the bottom, right? Race to what is the minimum level of safety that we can fucking get away with, right? And that's, I think, Todd Conklin says that sometimes, is people aren't trying to be safe. People are doing work with the minimum level of safety that they think is enough to get the job done, right? Which is why I think, to your point, Dave, about compliance, is there always has to be a floor of compliance in this, because otherwise the race to the bottom will just be like fucking Mexico, right? Like,
whoa,
wow. But yeah, I agree, and I think that this doesn't, just to really highlight, I think what's implied in what you said, this doesn't just happen in events, right? This happens at job sites all across the world, right? Even ones that are supposedly much more mature. Obviously, it's a bigger issue in some of the areas, like, yeah, again, like events. Some aspects of construction are going to be, more cowboy than other ones, right? Like that's normal. But it's everywhere. And like, to me, the biggest takeaway is workers, the reason that happens, the reason that can continue is because I don't think it's because like we have Mr. Burns, out there like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's kill people. Yeah,
safety, make
fuck,
money. Yeah.
excellent. Right? Like I think it's because the workers usually they shrug their shoulders and they're like, okay, well, fine, fuck it. I'll do Spider-Man up this fucking, wall up here and figure it out. Um, and at the end of the day, we just have to remember, like, a big lesson of the gap between work is imagined, work is done, is our workers make us look better than we actually are.
yeah, there's
Like the
the line.
costs.
Every now and then
There
you
is.
come through, Ron. Every now and
I
then.
have my moments. Broken fucking clock, man. Um, but like,
When he shows up, he
I
really
think, as
shows up.
Dave Woods would say, that's the law of fluency, right? It's how frontline workers make our systems like look
yeah,
so smooth and flowing, when they're just papering over all the fucking cracks and all the gaps and all the constraints that we put in front of them every day.
100%.
And then it goes wrong, and then we go, "Oh, you fuckhead! What were you doing that for?"
Safety is not a compromise. We yell at people, right? And it fucking is every day, right? I mean, this, to your point,
Yeah.
Dave, that where compliance comes in is like, we are going to have to make trade-offs. If it's not a compromise, how in the world did the rail company have different levels of tolerance? It's obviously a fucking compromise, right? Somewhere in there. And I don't think that's inherently awful. You can't get anything done if you're not willing to admit that there is a lot of gray, right? I think maybe that's that, I don't know, misunderstanding of compliance. If there is a misunderstanding of compliance, that it's the don't go below this, but like there's gonna have to be some flexibility.
Yeah. I think the gray is really important, right? And that's something in construction you think about a lot. I mean, work has inherent risk. I mean, it's gonna always, you can't mitigate all risk, right? We all know that, but um, you can put as many controls in place as possible, and people will still get hurt because the work itself has risk. And if it didn't, then we wouldn't be hiring specialty journeymen to be doing the work in the first place. Anyone could just strap on their tools and go do it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's something that's been hard. Going back to that conversation with clients, right? Trying to communicate that to a client when you're in a construction setting is also really difficult because, again, on one hand, they want to say that we're going to be the safest job site. We as the client expect this, and this to the zero culture, right? We don't want any injuries. We don't want anyone getting hurt. Every accident's preventable, right? And at the same time, they prioritize their production over actual safety. But it's hard when you're seeing an incident review to be able to explain that to someone. I mean, this work was inherently risky, and we all knew that when we signed those contracts. We all knew that when we were planning this work, and we all tried to mitigate as best we can. But something still went wrong. That's not really an answer you can give to a client when you're in incident review, but it's reality, right?
Yeah, no, I think there's sort of a work understanding piece here that I last time I did have not even a real job. Last time I was employed in a safety job, which is still not really quite a real job, if you ask Ron, or a necessary job if you ask Ron.
Sure.
But it's which I find kind of amusing as you've been taking a salary for doing that unnecessary job for a few years now. Ron,
I'm pretty sure I didn't say that, but that's
100% said it.
Watch the tape. Episode
no.
2. Episode
I mean,
2.
I know you didn't listen to episode 2 or anything from that point on.
Yeah.
Well, no, I listened to one. I listened to one with Josh Bryant.
But kind of the point is, like, speaking to senior folk, and they were going, how fucking hard can frontline work be? Like, when talking about boots and hard hat type work, like you turn up 6 o'clock, you follow the procedures, you fucking do your job, and then you leave and you come back and do it the next day. And if it's dangerous, you stop it and we'll figure it out. And then, senior folk thinking, oh, our job's really, our work's really complex. We've got to do strategy and we've got to balance the whole organization's kind of activities. But I actually think frontline work is far more complex than any other role in the organization, right? It's where it all sort of, comes down to it. And so, I think there needs to be just a general appreciation that frontline work, to Dave's quote, fucking sucks. It's fucking hard. It's the most kind of dynamic and adaptive kind of work that happens in our organization. And it's the work that happens in the presence of the shit that can kill you, right? Like, and no one else is exposed to that in the organization. So, yeah, I just think there's a real need for organizations just to have a kind of a real appreciation for that kind of sharp end and how tough it is in all organizations. And we make it harder than it needs to be.
I think that's very well said, because like all work is complex, all work is messy, but then like the front line has the added just fuckery of having to deal with all the work. Like Ben, you were talking about trade-offs and stuff. There's so many times that people don't acknowledge those trade-offs. And other Dave, back to your point where they're like, no, all accidents are preventable. And so we make these complex problems very simple. And it seems simple to the people who say those things, but that doesn't mean they simplified it. That means they kicked the complexity downstream. And so, in addition to the normal complexity of their work, the frontline now has to deal with the trade-offs that no one else wanted to fucking deal with. The compliance issues where, like, yeah, okay, I got to do it this way, but the customer asked for it this other way too. I don't know how I'm going to manage that. I'll figure it out. They got to deal with all that on top of it, just because people decided they didn't want to deal with the messiness. They wanted to, make it simple by using platitudes or saying deontological ethics.
I don't know if they don't want to deal with it. I mean, I'm sure there are people that
I don't think anybody wants to deal with it, right?
Well, I think sometimes though, it's just not the thing that's in front of you, right? It's like, fuck, this piece of machinery is broken. We'll use that one. We can make it work. I've operated this thing for 15 years. We can do it, right? That everything can seem simple if you get it small enough. And I think that's just people are just addressing the shit in front of them, right? It's like going through your email inbox and just one at a time
Yeah,
and you're
that's
putting
exactly
out
what
these
it's like.
fires, you know? Huh?
Nothing. It's all of us.
It is
All of,
not like your email inbox, but you understand what I'm saying, which is, you know, everybody at some small level is just putting out these fires, and you're never asking like what the fuck is setting things on fire. You
yeah.
you
I was
you're
gonna.
just stamping the little things out, and those little things I don't think are indicators that people are unwilling to take a look at a big picture. It's just that they're they're so wrapped up in answering dumb questions or what feels like a dumb question. Not from, I mean, you would never get like a client from a data center, for instance, asking a dumb question. Ron knows.
No, I just love the
Now
way
you're
Dave's
just
sitting
trying to
there.
get me fired.
I'm just trying hard.
I love the way Dave's sitting there listening to three fucking people talk about frontline work who don't do frontline work, and he's just tolerating it so well, tolerating the conversation in the same way that the frontline just goes, "Fucking here we go again. Tell me
Hey,
what
man,
my
I've been
job's."
doing frontline work in about 5 years, so I'm right with you. So
So I just want to know before I have actually got to bail out. You guys can keep talking about me after I leave if you like. But Dave, your comment in the decline episode about sometimes frontline work just fucking sucks. I kind of love to know what was behind that comment, or sucks in what way, because we kind of started with that at the start of the show, but we never asked you what was kind of behind that comment.
you mean why I hate work, or what are you asking?
Well, just that comment of sometimes frontline work just fucking sucks. Like, what is it close to things that we've been talking about, or is it, or what was behind? I'm curious what was behind
Yeah,
that.
I mean, all of it, man. I mean, again, you just I mean, there I can go on some I don't know, what's the word we're using right now? Analogical, right? Like
Yeah,
but
do it.
yeah. But I think
You can't be wrong.
From my end, I think a lot of my past work, right, has been around just meeting the demands of other people and trying to make sure that their demands are always met and my demands come last, right? Like as a frontline worker, that's what you do. You're always trying to appease every single boss, wearing every single hat that they, whatever manager it is, whether it's a quality guy, whether it's a some client, whether it's the actual supervisor that's signing your checks, you have to meet all their demands, right? So that's what I did for most of my life, right? I mean, crap, I'm mid 40s and I've done that most of my life at this point, right? But then, in my current role, I'm that guy that's sucking the energy and time out of people on the front line, and I think about that every day. It's like,
Tell me about it. There's three of us here.
yeah, but I'm trying to be a curious safety, right? I try to put curiosity and all the fun buzzwords that we use as safety at the forefront of what I do. So I'm talking to people in the field, but I mean, no matter what conversations I have or how well I get to know the people who work for our company or how friendly and we are and the rapport is, I know that every time I stop them or even look at them, or no matter what the conversation is, I'm distracting them from their bigger goal, right? And maybe I have a cool chunk of knowledge or a nugget that makes it into their day, and they can go a little faster or more efficient or safer. But the reality is I'm just another asshole that's slowing down their day. So I think that the more that safety professionals realize, man, work fucking sucks, and we can either make it worse or make it a little better, but no matter what we do, we're probably making it a little worse at least, right? I mean, it's true, right? I mean, no matter what I do during a day, I don't know how much I'm contributing to that person's work if I'm in the field. And that's where I should be, I think. I should be in the field, I should understand the conditions on the job site. I should understand what people are going through. But me just even being there becomes a problem.
That's fucking
Sort
like
of a
that's
first do no harm.
yeah. First,
Like,
do no harm. I like that oath, and I think also just the thing that like it sucks when your priorities come last, right, or your shit comes last, or your yeah. That's cool. Dude, so I need to go make some money so I can afford to support the merch store.
Did we?
I'll tell you what, it's good timing. I'm going to leave this to David, but it feels like we solved it.
Did we solve it?
Yeah,
we know why work fucking
Oh,
sucks.
yes. Yeah, well, we
100%.
solved that safety people should just shut the fuck up.
Fully. Yeah, we're back to episode
And we're
2.
back. Ron's on the fucking soapbox again. You got an address where people can send Ron their hate mail?
Come at me, bro.
We'll put it in the show notes.
I wish a motherfucker would.
A motherfucker will. Careful.
Oklahoma City's coming at the paces, I'll tell you what. All right.
Sweet.
All right.
Nice, boys.
Later,
Tell everybody
dudes.
I said hi.
Thanks, Dave.
Dave Proven.
Good job.